Hello, dear friends. Today in the new edition of Baku Network platform, we are having very interesting conversation. Today we have my colleague Sevil Mikayilova and myself joining from the Parliament of Azerbaijan. And today we have also a special guest joining us from Spain, Mr. Carlos Oriente Sanchez. He is the professor of the King Carlos University in Spain. So thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and welcome Ms. Sevil Mikayilova and Mr. Carlos. Welcome to our new edition.
Thank you.
And
thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. As you are from Spain, Mr. Sanchez, we would like to start our conversation with our relations with Spain, if you don't mind, because Azerbaijan is one of those unique countries in the South Caucasus, in the region, which have very special relationship with the European Union countries, with the members of the EU, and one of them is, of course, very important country in the EU is Spain. Though we have had recently some problematic issues with the members of the EU, but overall we would like to keep the positive, pragmatic approach of our relations with the EU members. So Mr. Carlos, maybe we will start from you. How you evaluate the current relations of your country with Azerbaijan, how it is viewed from Spain, the Azerbaijan, the South Caucasus, what are the main topics and items that are being discussed in your country, in your circles, concerning the South Caucasus and Azerbaijan?
Well, our bilateral relations are good. We don't have any problem at all because we are two countries far away one from another. I mean, we are not neighbors, and in this regard, we don't have any bilateral problem. However, bilateral relations, they could improve. Azerbaijan has an embassy to Madrid. Azerbaijan has an ambassador to Madrid. But unfortunately, we don't have ambassador to Baku. Our ambassador is in Ankara, and from Ankara is leading the issues in Azerbaijan. And this is also no good because you are two countries, and it's important that as you are doing a big effort, having an ambassador to Madrid, we should do the same to express our gratitude for your efforts to having an ambassador to Baku. On the other hand, of course, we have had several bilateral visits, but for example, last important visit, it was the visit of the Foreign Affairs Minister of Azerbaijan to Madrid, Mr. Yehum Bayramov.
Yes.
He visited Madrid and he had a meeting with our Foreign Affairs Minister. But we didn't visit Baku. We didn't, I mean, our minister, Foreign Affairs Minister, should visit Baku as well. And in this regard, after that, yes, we have had several visits, but of less level. It means President Aliyev is not since a long time ago in Spain. And this is something that we should change as well. He was foreseen to come to Granada to the last summit of the political European Union, but in the end he couldn't attend. And in this regard, this is an issue that we should improve. Our bilateral relations started in February 11th, 1992, with the independence of Azerbaijan. And in this regard, last year, we celebrated 30 years anniversary of the establishment of bilateral relations. In this regard, there are goodwill among both sides to improve also the economical exchanges, because I mean, we import hydrocarbons, gas, and so on, but there are other opportunities to cooperate, for example, in the fields of infrastructures, agriculture, renewable energies, These are fields where the Azeris authorities they are interested in taking into consideration the Spanish experience in these fields, in agriculture, in renewable energies, and in infrastructures. The cultural relations are well. We have in the University of Languages of Azerbaijan in Baku since 2008 a professor of Spanish, and also different professors and students, most of them coming from the University of Languages of Baku. They have received also grants from our education ministry in order to learn Spanish in Spain. The universities of the languages, the other university, also the architecture university, and the State University of Petrol, they have good cooperation and good relations with Spanish universities. Also, in the Spanish cultural activity of our embassy in Ankara, we promoted the Spanish music in Baku and also Spanish films. And for example, the Haidar Aliyev Center and also Mugam Center and other institutions of Azerbaijan, they have developed also the Spanish culture.
I see. Mr. Sanchez, excuse me. So you have highlighted very important directions. There is a room always to develop, to expand our bilateral relations, be it in political, cultural, economic spheres, humanitarian spheres. So Ms. Sevil Mikayilova, as the head of interparliamentary friendship group between Azerbaijan and Spain in our parliament, I think that Sevil Mikayilova can also touch upon the important directions that we could improve our relations, though we have some issues concerning the latest decision of the Spanish parliament against Azerbaijan. But I think that it is not the overall attitude of Spain, its government's parliament. There is always a room to develop our relations in spite of the challenges. Don't you think so?
Thank you very much. I think you're right saying that for now we are actually going through a very difficult period in the relations with EU in the political scene because as you know, Azerbaijan has always wanted to develop the relations in all spheres. Actually, we had a very fruitful cooperation with the European Union in energy sector, and we are proud to say that Azerbaijan could take a role in the diversification of energy supplies to the European Union. And if see that now there is an energy, there is a huge threat to the energy security of the European Union, for the time being, Azerbaijan's role is very helpful and very important. But in other spheres, we have strategic partnership agreements with 9 members of the European Union, which I think is very successful for both sides to push forward the bilateral relations. And we can mention the cultural sphere as well. We are proud to say that we could push forward the cultural projects with a number of European Union member countries. And the major goal is to bring the nations together to be helpful reciprocally, and of course to look forward to prospects and to secure the safety. But despite of that, what is going in South Caucasus, we all are well aware, and Mr. Carlos is very closely observing the processes ongoing in the South Caucasus. And now we see some parliaments in the European Union very biased, and their resolutions about the Armenia-Azerbaijan normalization process are far from reality. So we are not saying that they are against Azerbaijan or they are pro-Armenian. This is another issue which can be discussed, but the matter is that they are too far from reality. and blaming Azerbaijan in the matters which hasn't taken place at all, and not knowing the ongoing processes in South Caucasus. I think it is at least irresponsible from the parliaments of some European Union member countries to issue such resolutions. And unfortunately, we heard it from the Spanish parliament as well. And the last resolution from the Spanish Senate, I think very frustrating because it is also too far from reality. And therefore, we think that we need to explain to our European partners, our colleagues in the parliaments, that there is no ethnic cleansing in South Caucasus, in Azerbaijan. So otherwise, the United Nations, the OSCE, the European Union, and other institutions would come out with the facts, and they will issue resolutions as well. But the organizations which I mentioned has never issued any resolution or any document saying that there was the facts that Azerbaijan violated the international law or something else. Therefore, we would like to call on our European colleagues to be more attentive, to be more responsible, and understand that there is a fragile situation in South Caucasus, and the two countries, Armenia and Azerbaijan, are in the process of normalization. Therefore, we need, in this very sensitive period, to act very responsibly, and it would be rather, I think, smart to send a delegation to Azerbaijan and to see what is going on in the ground, rather making these decisions, resolutions, or statements, not knowing the situation on the ground.
Yes. I totally agree. I mean, the resolution of well, first of all, the Spanish Senate is the upper house in Spain, and our parliament is an asymmetric bicameral system. It means that the Congress of Deputies, the lower house, prevails on the upper chamber. This is the reality. And the upper chamber, the Senate, is the chamber of representation of the different regions of Spain, and it doesn't have so important role. I mean, they have approved this resolution without, as you mentioned, knowing well the reality, because even with the figures and with the data that they have written in the resolution, it was an old resolution. It was something that, in the case that they wanted to approve something similar, this resolution would have been approved 1 month in advance, but not in the moment that they have done, because there were not any more problems in Azerbaijan. The issue was already solved. I mean, and in this regard, I don't know why 1 month after the problem has finished, maybe because of also the war in Gaza and in Israel, maybe because they thought that the issue of Karabakh was going to be forgotten, and then they have tried to promote different resolutions. For Spaniards, it's not a so sensitive issue, but of course, I can imagine that there is an Armenian lobby behind trying to promote these kinds of resolutions in all the parliaments of the European Union. And these resolutions are not written by Spaniards, I mean, or by, because when you see this, it's not a balanced resolution at all. I mean, I feel myself as a Spanish expert in the South Caucasus region frustrated when I saw this resolution, because it's not a resolution accordance with reality. And it was approved 1 month later that the things were happening in Azerbaijan and in Armenia. I mean,
so what we are seeing here is the lack of information, yes. Unfortunately, misinformation and spread of fake news affect parliamentarians in Europe, especially in the European Parliament, while they decide concerning the regions of South Caucasus and different regions of which are located in the immediate neighborhood of the European Union. So that's why we have to inform, and we have to talk to our colleagues, like professors, as we like members of Azerbaijani parliament. We are open to discuss all these issues with our colleagues in order to persuade them that sometimes they make a decision which are totally counterproductive and not reflecting the truth and the facts on the ground. So having said that, as my Sevil, Mikayilova and you have mentioned, we have very important direction, important sphere to develop is the energy security. Having said that, I was reading the news that the European Union is considering building a 700-kilometer gas pipeline from Spain to Italy to provide the natural gas, to provide EU with the natural gas, because we know that Spain has the largest natural gas reserves, but unfortunately Spain cannot transport it to the EU overland because of the Pyrenees mountains, which stretch along the French-Spanish border. So what is the situation right now concerning this project? Because in Azerbaijan we have built the largest, maybe the project, gas pipeline project or petrol oil project, gas and oil pipeline projects from Azerbaijan, from Caspian to EU. So we have very good experience, knowledge of building this kind of projects. And I would like to know what is the situation currently concerning this project from gas pipeline project from Spain to Italy.
Yes, in Spain, we have a very good position regarding the possibilities of being a gas supplier, because we have in Spain 6 regasification plants, 6. This is the country in Europe with more regasifications, coming liquid gas from the United States or from other parts of the world, and we are able to regasificate this and to distribute it. Additionally, our bilateral relations, they are improving with Algeria, because in the last year and a half, our bilateral relations, they were a little bit bad. But in the issue of the gas, we keep the cooperation with Algeria, and Algeria keep its compromise and agreement regarding the gas to Spain. And in this regard, we are a good gap, so we can use Spain as a platform to distribute gas to other countries of Europe. As you mentioned, we have in the Pyrenees mountains a problem to distribute this gas, and there are several projects where the European Union especially is thinking in how to solve this issue, to invest in European project to make these interconnections among Spain and France. But there is still a project, and for that you need time, maybe 10 years. I mean, this is not something that from one day to another you will have the pipelines. And with Italy, it's the same. It's a project. It's a project.
Yes, because EU is planning to invest 3 billion euros into this project. I was wondering if EU will complete the investment in coming months or years, and how you are going to deal with this problem. But you have mentioned also you importing gas from Algeria, which is very important for the energy security. By the way, Sevil Hanım, you can also add, I would also really appreciate your thought about Azerbaijan is not only providing EU with gas and oil, also we are planning to export green energy to
Exactly.
European Union, and we would like to diversify our export. So I think that even in this case, EU and its energy commissioner, EU officials are interested in cooperating with Azerbaijan in purchasing green energy.
Exactly. There is huge interest from the European Union, as I said. So we have a memorandum on energy with the European Union. It was signed in Baku, and we are proud to say that Azerbaijan is part of all the processes, and we could diversify the energy supplies to Europe, as I said before. But plus, we came to an agreement with 4 other European Union countries on the exports of hydrocarbon from the territory of Azerbaijan. You know, we have liberated our occupied territories, and now there is a huge potential for development of green energy in these areas because of their potential. And actually, Azerbaijan has taken a very good path in this direction. So now in these regions, in these villages, we could create smart villages, green economy, green energy. And now, as an energy producer country, so we have surplus supplies, we have surplus reserves, to be correct, and now we can provide these reserves to the European Union, which is now actually passing through a very difficult period in its history in terms of energy security. So I think the aspirations of the EU to increase the green energy in its overall supplies will be very complemented from Azerbaijan's aspirations to increase its production of green energy. So in the near future, we can see huge amounts of green energy, green electricity supplies from Azerbaijan to Europe. In this sense, I think Spain can actually use this opportunity, and therefore we need in the political scene actually not any disagreement, and most of all I believe that the economic cooperation, the economic interaction between the countries, nations actually smooths all the problems when they are together, when they understand together, and we are in close discussions from this or that problem. So it makes overall security more solid. Therefore, I think the Spanish government could come out with initiative to cooperate with Azerbaijan in this sphere as well. If, as you mentioned, you have really a will and you need it.
Yes. So you have mentioned very important aspects of our cooperation: energy security, green economy, green energy. Here I would like to turn to Mr. Sanchez, because cooperation in these aspects, in these spheres, are not possible without providing overall security. Like Azerbaijan, we have suffered from occupation of our lands for the last 3 decades. Now we have liberated our lands. Now we have provided full security and guarantee, and we have restored our sovereignty over Karabakh region of Azerbaijan. What I am saying, trying to say that for many years, we were deprived of giving security and providing security in our sovereign lands. Mm-hmm. The same goes to the Spain. Like you have mentioned, Mr. Sanchez, that you have very good relations, are trying to build up relations with North Africa, with Algeria, with Maghreb region. But also you are facing very important problems of influx of illegal immigrants coming from North Africa to Spain. Like the islands of Melilla and Ceuta are being used for the illegal migrants to come and to settle there, and from there they would like to reach out, to come to EU. So what is the situation currently, how you deal and how you confront the problem of illegal migration? Because also you have I think that relations agreements with Morocco. Moroccan government has to prevent and has to help Spain to fight against the illegal migration, because we know that in every meeting of the EU high-level officials, they are bringing this issue into the agenda. So the role of Spain is very important here. Yes. Your insights.
Yes, I mean, of course, for us it's very what we call the South Mediterranean. The South Mediterranean region, the north of Africa, is for us very important in our international relations to keep stability and prosperity in this part of the world, because this is also in our interest, in the Spanish interest and in the interest of the whole Europe. I mean, to keep the countries of Maghreb and North Africa stable and in prosperity, because we saw that when they had economical crisis, or even during the pandemic, it has affected not only to these countries economically, but what is more important, to their societies. And in this regard, it's important to keep these countries stable and in prosperity. As you mentioned, we must work with these countries strongly to avoid illegal migration, especially where there are different entries to Europe. To Spain, they are normally coming from Morocco or Algeria, but to Italy, they are coming from Libya or from Tunisia, and so on. And there are other entries, no, to the Western Balkans and so on. We are working as Europeans with the countries of origin of this illegal immigration to try to combat, to fight against mafias. Also, we are working not just with the countries of origin, but also with the crossing countries, because after they cross countries to the destiny, and normally the destiny is Europe. If we work with origin countries also to develop these countries, these citizens, they would prefer staying in their own countries and not traveling in very complicated circumstances to Europe.
Yes,
And of course, we must work as well with Morocco, with Algeria, so they can contain and especially fight against also this illegal immigration and these mafias, because these mafias, they are playing with human beings, and this is something that is totally unacceptable, no? Of course, every person has a right to try to improve its life, to economical situation, but it must be understood as legal migration and immigration under certain basis and order. I mean, we cannot accept in Europe all the persons that they want to come to Europe to live better, because this is not possible. I mean, and it's not realistic, and it's not good also for them, because if they want to come, it's better if they come legally with all the rights to work in Europe and already with a job, because if they don't do this, then they will be in Europe also in a bad situation.
yes, why
And
I have
for this
mentioned
reason, it's
this
important,
because
legal immigration.
yeah, because why I have mentioned this.
Another issue are the refugees. The
Refugees,
refugees,
yes.
you have an international obligation to accept refugees. If you are a member of the international community, every state must accept refugees because they are escaping from complicated situations. But economical migrants is another issue. You don't have this obligation. And in this regard, they must respect the rules and the law if they want to come to a country to live. And the access to a country must be always legal.
Exactly. Mr. Sanchez, why I have mentioned this, because for many years, when our lands were under occupation, we have suffered illegal activities in our lands. Armenia used our lands for illegal smuggling of human beings, drugs. It was a very big gray zone in the heart of Azerbaijan, but of course we couldn't stand this gray zone anymore, and we have successfully ended. So, Sevil Hanım, I think that now we can also after restoring our independence and sovereignty over our lands, we can also share our information and knowledge, experience with the European Union members who still suffer from this kind of illegal activities.
And Spain suffers from separatism as well.
Exactly.
So we know, so you have even their fraction in your parliament who is struggling. I think that Azerbaijan's experience, as we could struggle and we could overcome the separatism in our territory, can be a good example for you as well to take into consideration what to do, how to do. And now we are in the process of reintegration, which is very important for us, and our government is working in this direction. So we want smooth reintegration of people of Armenian origin in this territory into the rest of the society. I think that so we have much to learn from each other, and Azerbaijan's experience, Azerbaijan's victory in the 21st century will be an example for many nations who are suffering from the same problem. So I think we need to continue discussions to show and to share our experience.
You wanted to add something, Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, only just one thing I have forgotten that you have now mentioned is in our bilateral relation, the key point that strengthens our bilateral relations is that we have the same position when we talk about territorial integrity. For Spain, it's very important the territorial integrity in international law and also for Azerbaijan. And in this regard, we must continue be working together in this line of supporting us each other for territorial integrity. You have already liberated your territories, and you don't have any more this problem. But anyhow, I mean, the debate it's going to continue, no? And in this regard, it's important that we support your territorial integrity to don't have any doubt in the future.
Thank you.
And we appreciate it also a lot your support in the issue of Catalonia as well, where you support also our territorial integrity strongly.
Yes, it's our firm position. We always support the norms and principles of international law, territorial integrity and sovereignty. So, dear colleagues, now I would like to wrap up our conversation because we have a shortage of time. Mr. Sanchez, thank you very much for joining us from Spain. It was a real pleasure talking to you. And I do hope that we will continue our conversation, especially we have a lot to discuss concerning bilateral relations. We have a very rich agenda of bilateral relations. I do hope to continue our conversation in the future. And Ms. Sevil Mikayilova, I would like also to thank you very much for your valuable, esteemed insights. And as the head of Azerbaijani Spanish Interparliamentary Friendship Group in our parliament.
Thank you for this discussion. It was very fruitful, I think.